The interest in BRICS among such a wide audience speaks volumes. It serves as the best confirmation that BRICS already rightfully occupies a place among the key centers of global governance, and the voice of our states in support of the fundamental interests of the world majority is becoming increasingly audible on the international stage with each passing year. We share the optimism of Brazilian President Lula da Silva regarding the ability of BRICS to contribute to the creation of a new paradise for all. The leaders of the BRICS countries strongly condemned the military strikes by Israel and the United States against Iran since June 13th and expressed concern over the deliberate attacks on civilian infrastructure and peaceful nuclear facilities in violation of international law, the UN Charter, and IAEA resolutions. Regarding the situation in the Gaza Strip, the BRICS countries confirmed their readiness to continue efforts aimed at achieving a swift ceasefire, accelerating the delivery of humanitarian aid, and achieving lasting and sustainable peace in the region. The attacks on railways and bridges in the Kursk, Bryansk, and Voronezh regions in May-June this year, which resulted in numerous casualties among the civilian population, including children, were strongly condemned. We certainly take note of the various signals and assessments from political figures in different countries regarding the nature and function of BRICS. Naturally, we pay close attention to statements from the U.S. administration. BRICS is not an anti-American alliance, nor is there anything anti-American on the BRICS agenda. When Washington clearly violates important elements of international law, as it did with the unprovoked missile and bomb strike on nuclear infrastructure facilities in Iran that were under IAEA safeguards, we call things by their proper names. We called things by their proper names. There is nothing here beyond what can be stated as a fact. This is exactly how it is reflected in the Rio de Janeiro Summit Declaration. Tariff wars, negotiations on tariffs, duties, trade conditions must be considered. This also takes place on a bilateral basis between states subject to pressure from the United States and associations of states. I believe these issues should be resolved through calm, rational dialogue and compromise. We are calling on the American side to do this, and the language of threats and manipulation, including at the BRICS Forum, is not an appropriate way to talk to the participants of this association. We are engaged in intensive dialogue with all interested parties, with all parties involved in this situation, the Iranian-Israeli conflict. This includes not only Iran, but also the United States. I am sure you have seen that Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov reported on the results of his meeting today with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, where the Iranian issue was also discussed. We are in contact with the IAEA on these issues. I would not call it a mediating role. Our role is broader than that of a mediator. We do not simply provide some kind of good services and convey messages from one side to the other. That happens too, but it is not the main thing. The main thing is our contribution to stabilizing the situation by helping to find solutions. We see how difficult it is for Western countries to relinquish their accustomed position as dominant forces and dominant factors in associations that, by and large, should be universal. Attempts by Westerners to privatize international organizations are not abating, but only intensifying. We will oppose this. In the sphere of international economics, trade and finance, the transformation of the Bretton Woods institutions, the reform of the World Trade Organization, that is, the reform of those segments of the international system that were formed decades ago, is proceeding too slowly, and BRICS is raising its voice. Read the final declaration, listen to what the leaders of the BRICS countries have to say on this subject. The global majority will demand and seek change, seeking to consolidate the shift in power that has already taken place and continues to take place in international affairs to their advantage. There are no obstacles to progress on the bilateral agenda with the United States. There is a technical pause. I think we will soon decide on the dates for the third round of consultations, where these purely bilateral issues or irritants, as they have been called for some time now, will be discussed. If we take the topic of BRICS and the reaction of official Washington to the summit in Rio, this, of course, reflects the United States' recognition that BRICS is a real factor in international life. But once again, there is nothing anti-American about BRICS. There is only non-American. Just as we said before, there is nothing anti-Western about it. BRICS is not anti-Western. It is not Western. This is what needs to be understood, and tariffs, duties, and so on need to be discussed, as the Americans would say, where they belong. That is, where they should be, without mixing unrelated topics into work on other issues.
Do G20 tem nosso total apoio. Os BRICS é ator incontornável e no mesmo local que abrigara a cúpula do G20 no ano passado.